This is Saturday Night with me, Papa Kwesi Endo. It is the program we call Ghana Great and Strong. Ghana Great and Strong is apolitical. It is not partisan politics focused. It is a program with the sole purpose to strengthen our country Ghana and make all of its people prosperous. Ghana Great and Strong comes your way every Saturday night from 7 to 8 p.m. The program is sponsored by the Ghana Growth Fund Company Limited, GGFC. GGFC is a private equity company that is dedicating its resources to the development of infrastructure in Ghana. GGFC is also financing industries, building factories that create jobs for Ghanaians. So join us. This is Ghana Great and Strong. It is the unique program that just talks about, discusses, presents topics in the national interests. Ghana Great and Strong has been coming your way for more than 4 years. I am your host. My name is Papa Kwesi Endo. And this evening, we are going to talk about, quite simply, the topic promises, promises, promises must be kept. Now, interestingly enough, when a couple of friends of mine heard that I was going to talk about just this topic, promises, promises, promises must be kept. As soon as they heard the word promises, they jumped straight to, oh, why do you want to bother? Why do you want to talk about the current president or the NPP or Nana Akufo-Addo? Why don't you just leave them to do as they wish, or to work, not bother them? Why bother? Well, let me make a point that this topic is not about the current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, or his political party, the NPP. It is aimed at all political parties who participated in the 2016 elections, including the Progressive People's Party that I belong to. And it also concerns and is about the people who participated in that election as presidential candidates. And so it is about the promises that the parties and the presidential candidates made in 2016. Now, somebody might ask, well, only one presidential candidate won the election, and now he and his party are in charge of the administration of the country. So why bother? Well, I quite often on this program, on Ghana Great and Strong, we have made the point that political parties are not there just for elections. It is not only during election periods that political parties exist or should talk, should be concerned about the welfare of Ghanaians, or about policy in this country. Let me go back and quote for you once again a section from the Political Parties Law. And you know that the Political Parties Law, it is the one which says, on part 1, founding and registration of political parties, the section that says founding of political parties, and item number 3 there says a political party may, subject to the Constitution and this Act, participate in shaping the political will of the people, disseminate ideas on disseminate information on political ideas, social and economic programs of a national character, and sponsors candidates for public elections other than elections to district assemblies. Let me say this again. It says, a political party may, subject to the Constitution and this Act, participate in shaping the political will of the people, disseminate information on political ideas, social and economic programs of a national character, and sponsors candidate for public elections other than elections to district assemblies or lower local government units. And so, indeed, political parties are to disseminate information, participate in dialogue and debates, discussions, formulate policy and so on and so forth, ideas to do with politics, to do with the economy, to deal with social matters of a national character. So which then says that political parties must not go to sleep. That's what it means to me. During the non-election years, that political parties must exist throughout. They don't stop, they don't cease to function. They are supposed to continuously be talking, be working, be debating, be participating in all manner of programs, projects, topics that would shape and help determine the development, proper development, positive development of our nation, Ghana. So it is in that regard that I am not just talking about promises made by President Nana Akufo-Addo, but I want to bring to your attention promises made by the political parties. I will definitely not be able to talk about all of the political parties, but I will try to bring you information about some of them, some of the promises that they made, and some of the promises that some of the presidential candidates made. And the idea is this, that they wouldn't just throw those promises away and go to sleep, and that they will continue. They will continue to help shape the will, shape the minds of Ghanaians by keeping on presenting their ideas to the public, and then continuously attempt, and in any case, attempt to compare what they would have done with what the present administration led by President Nana Akufo-Addo would do. So it is important, if you listening, watching, if you're going to be a citizen fully a citizen who participates in what goes on in this country continuously and cares what the government does, cares what happens to this country and its people, then you must know. Which is why I want to remind you some of the things that the political parties said, promised, the presidential candidates said, promised, including myself. Inti ahwefo na etefo ende za yerzir tugwa enye de boshe na amanyekufo ana hona na opede wokai omanpanyin za waka kani na me pede bizi bi me tugwa wo sende ebo wo share no odo obado se ebo wo share no so obado a ena Ghana obeye na amanyeku so wanka de en constitution and brackets no wanka de wonfa amanyeku embra de embrace de wokoto aba na wenyen wa sor de worko okay campaign de bi was amanyeku for wombra na wombra no wombosom na wombo yimpa na adwen enzama offer amanye sam ho enzama offer eman no ho enzama offer hiesika sam ho hian ayarsa ho na nkaka ho wose wonso wonkan bi wonye bi wonfontugwa na woman yimpa na adwen onko enzama apapado onuntir ena menye amaka de merebaka boshe asam ebi se ebe na Akufo-Addo janimo onye na adwuma na abazin sir na rebaka boshe debi onye na Akufo-Addo na asam ne yerebaka no ha ne dika hodzi na so yerebaka amanye kufu ni hinara hona mbirba mamukwan maka ebo a wo she maka bi ana onye hona unche wasu wonto abamo hon bonka ya mampanyina maso maka hu bi nsi no asam ne yebabaka de sɛ hina yes ye emanamba mapa ampara de emanamba o de hina su yezi hina adwen zikɔ da man zamana amanye kufo bakan usendo ohia de yekodo ye wodara ye pir ma da man zaman so ye zama apapa no baka che hina za ye hwemo obem ama sɛ ebi owa abenim sesiara ori ye bibia amanye kunke no so won so watwe hina adwena akɔ zanche won so nche wo beye sɛ won na nche wo abenima na ye hina no otwe hina adwen odokɔ bibi papa do otwe hina adwen odokɔ zo owode ye mamani of the tempofra. So that's what we're going to talk about this evening. Promises, they must happen. And so I want to start with Mr. Ivor Greenstreet and the CPP, one or two or three of the promises that they made. But we'll go and take a break and come back and begin with Mr. Ivor Greenstreet. Then we'll move to former President John Dramani Mahama, and then we'll come to current President Nana Akufo-Addo, and then we'll talk about what I said as well. That's what this program is going to be this evening. If you want to participate in this program, well, we will take your WhatsApp messages. 020-7566-185 is the number to use. 020-7566-185 to send me a WhatsApp text message, and I'll be able to read the message to you. It's all about this topic, and please don't send me a phone phone call, the phone calls, not today, just send a text message to the number that I just gave you. So we will take a break. This is Ghana Great and Strong, and my name is Papa Kwesi Endo. This is Saturday Night with me, Papa Kwesi Endo. It is the program we call Ghana Great and Strong. Ghana Great and Strong is apolitical. It is not partisan politics focused. It is a program with the sole purpose to strengthen our country Ghana and make all of its people prosperous. Ghana Great and Strong comes your way every Saturday night from 7 to 8 p.m. The program is sponsored by the Ghana Growth Fund Company Limited, GGFC. GGFC is a private equity company that is dedicating its resources to the development of infrastructure in Ghana. GGFC is also financing industries, building factories that create jobs for Ghanaians. So join us. Welcome back to Ghana Great and Strong. And we're talking about promises, the promises made during the 2016 election. I want to begin with the CPP's Mr. Ivor Greenstreet. He is the one, remember, he's the one who said that he would mobilize 2 million young people to plant 1.2 million almond trees to raise more than $300 billion in revenue for the state. Let me say this again. Mr. Ivor Greenstreet, the promise that he made, what he said he would do, was that he would put to work 2 million young men and women to plant 1.2 million almond trees to raise $300 billion in revenue for the state. Have you forgotten? Well, if you had, or if you haven't thought about it, I am putting it back on your mind as something to talk about. And I hope Mr. Greenstreet would also not leave it alone, but find ways to keep raising it, to keep suggesting it, and to keep telling Ghanaians what, given the chance, he and his party would do to make this a reality. And then again, well, Mr. Greenstreet and the CPP back in 2016, they said that it was time for Ghana to change course and adopt policies that would lead to economic independence. But their point was, don't just leave the people to do as they please. They said that they, given the chance, would guide both the private and public sectors, local entrepreneurs, to increase productivity as a nation. And for them, they said national cohesiveness was something important. And so they would seek consensus in the solving of the many problems of ordinary Ghanaians, and that they would implement a policy of inclusiveness. Inclusiveness in policy issues rather than limiting themselves to individuals that they knew. And then Mr. Greenstreet, he is also somebody, let me just read something that he said. He said that the CPP would build a strong, disciplined Ghana for national reconstruction and development, and the pursuit of, it's a big word, egalitarianism and eradication of poverty, elitism, inequality, corruption, and other social injustices from the Ghanaian society. It was Mr. Greenstreet who, in many ways, highlighted the concerns of people with disabilities. And he made a specific promise that I want to remind him, I want to remind everybody. And he said, as a candidate, that and his promise was that persons with disabilities would enjoy free health care, education, transport, and job security. His promise was to provide persons with disability free health care, education, transport, and job security. And this, he talked about it to quite an extent, and the Ghana Federation of Disability also spoke up and supported this view. And then I remember also very specifically that on a trip to Tarkwa, which I'm sure many know as a gold producing area, Mr. Greenstreet made the promise that he would make sure that a gold refinery is constructed or revamped if he would become president. A gold refinery in Tarkwa. He said that 95% of a gold refinery was completed in Kwame Nkrumah's days, and that he will come, revamp it, reconstruct it, and make it work again, so that it would boost job creation in the Tarkwa area. So for Mr. Ivor Greenstreet, these are 2 or 3 or so of the promises that he made that I hope you will take note, he will take note, his party will take note, and continue to talk about and hopefully continue to promote and become advocates for, so that Ghanaians can gain some benefit from their ideas. Well, I'd like to move on and bring to you some of the promises made by former President John Dramani Mahama. We'll take a break, and when we come back, yes, we'll talk about former President John Dramani Mahama and his promises. I want to remind you that this is Ghana Great and Strong. It is a program that is sponsored by the various arms of the company that has been in this country for nearly 25 years. That company is called Gold Coast. Gold Coast has a fund management, pension, brokerage, handles portfolios, manages portfolios such as Provident Funds, and so on and so forth. And it does something wonderful of finding private capital that it uses to forge new companies, creates jobs, and so on and so forth. This is Ghana Great and Strong. We'll be back. This is Saturday Night with me, Papa Kwesi Endo. It is the program we call Ghana Great and Strong. Ghana Great and Strong is apolitical. It is not partisan politics focused. It is a program with the sole purpose to strengthen our country Ghana and make all of its people prosperous. Ghana Great and Strong comes your way every Saturday night from 7 to 8 p.m. The program is sponsored by the Ghana Growth Fund Company Limited, GGFC. GGFC is a private equity company that is dedicating its resources to the development of infrastructure in Ghana. GGFC is also financing industries, building factories that create jobs for Ghanaians. So join us. We're talking about promises made during the 2016 elections. And now I want to talk about NDC's John Dramani Mahama and the promises. Some of the promises, obviously I'm just picking on some 2 or 3 of the promises from the various candidates. So on to John Dramani Mahama, and it is important. It is important that we go back and understand that former President Mahama, he is of the party that called themselves Social Democrats. Let me remind you that if you want to make a contribution to this discussion, the WhatsApp number to use is 020-7566185. That is the number to use to send me a text message. Now, let me remind you that the NDC's manifesto, they said, was based on 4 thematic areas: putting people first, social services, and human services. Then number 2, they talked about a strong and resilient economy for job creation. And number 3, expanding social and economic structures. Number 4, transparent and accountable governance. So if you had forgotten, or maybe you didn't pay it any attention in 2016, once again, 4 areas. Number 1, putting people first, social services and human services. Number 2, a strong and resilient economy for job creation. Number 3, expanding social and economic structures. Number 4, transparent and accountable governance. And in this, as you went through all of this, remember that it was President John Dramani Mahama back then who talked about eliminating schools on the trees. They made the term school on the trees a very popular one. They said they will eliminate them. And he had previously made the promise to build a number of community schools which he didn't finish by the end of the term. So he had made a promise to continue to complete them, to complete those community schools that he had started. And in the process, he also said that he would provide students with electronic books, tablets, and so on and so forth. That was one of the promises associated in the area of education. And as you know, they talked about continuing to progressively provide access to school-going age children. And you know, and this, perhaps people have also forgotten that former President Mahama promised to create 5 more regions in Ghana. So you would expect that as the current administration is talking about creating some additional regions, perhaps they would compare notes, and the NDC will be putting their idea again on the table. So they compare notes and see, why are you talking about this number? We were talking about 5. This is where we wanted to create those regions, and so on and so forth, to help in the debate, to help in the shaping of what should be in this country. I think that would be a valid exercise to go through. And in their case, they said they were going to set up a commission of inquiry to look into the creation of the new regions, and so that they could look at the viability of increasing the number of administrative regions in Ghana from 10 to 15. They have already told you about the elimination of schools on the trees. But you know, they also talked about NHIS and how they were going to make NHIS more viable. And one area that they said they would rely on to make NHIS more viable is Ghana's oil money. Is to use the oil money, the revenue coming from oil. And so they said that there was the need to rework the sustainability of NHIS. And when they talk about this, when a political party that is in government talks about the need to rework the sustainability of NHIS, I take it that they felt that it was becoming unsustainable, that there were some problems, that there were some issues to do with its funding, and therefore they needed to look for new sources of funding for the national health insurance. And this source, former President Mahama proposed, would be from Ghana's oil revenue. And while they were talking about this, they also, interestingly enough, they also talked about Ghana becoming a cashless economy by the year 2021, which is an interesting promise to make. But these are some of the promises that former President John Dramani Mahama made. And I've already told you the 4 themes that they had chosen for their for the making of their promises as the basis for their campaign for election 2016. And one bit that you know we need to talk about, which is quite interesting, is the area of transparent and accountable governance. So Ghanaians should be asking them, well, what did you really mean by that? what were you going to do to bring about transparency and accountability, given the track record? And so even though they are not there, it is good time for them to talk about it, for us to talk about it, for every Ghanaian to demonstrate their interests in the formulation of the best policies, the best actions that would help our country become great and strong. And that is what Ghana Great and Strong is proposing this evening to you, to me, that we must go back, relive, revisit, understand, even challenge what these political parties and the presidential candidates put on the table for Ghanaians in 2016. So that's the NDC side. And I will come back, and now I will go to the promises made by the current president. So we'll come back to that. As I had mentioned earlier on, you want to make a contribution to this program, you do it not by telephone, but by sending me a message, a text message through WhatsApp, and the number is 020-7566185. This is Ghana Great and Strong. We'll be back. This is Saturday Night with me, Papa Kwesi Endo. It is the program we call Ghana Great and Strong. Ghana Great and Strong is apolitical. It is not partisan politics focused. It is a program with the sole purpose to strengthen our country, Ghana, and make all of its people prosperous. Ghana Great and Strong comes your way every Saturday night from 7 to 8 p.m. The program is sponsored by the Ghana Growth Fund Company Limited, GGFC. GGFC is a private equity company that is dedicating its resources to the development of infrastructure in Ghana. GGFC is also financing industries, building factories that create jobs for Ghanaians. So join us. Welcome back to Ghana Great and Strong, where this evening we are talking about promises made during the 2016 elections, and it's now the turn of President Nana Akufo-Addo. Prince from Bahari under the Talensi district, he says, you have good policies, but how to get power is the problem. And he says, God help this man set us free. And Bright Inti Broja from Laura, he says, can Ghana privatize the Electoral Commission so that it will be free from any political party interference? Well, it's a question. It's a question. Someone just says, well, I like this program because it is educative. That's what he says. Desmond Azani from East Legon says, fantastic analysis by Dr. Indom. You've always been a blessing to this country. And he says, It's my prayer you become president one day. If not, you will be the best president Ghana never had. Oyasamu. Anyway, let me go on. Yes, President Nana Akufo-Addo. I'm sure many of you know some of the promises. One village, one dam. But you've heard one village, one dam, but what was the purpose? So I'll tell you the purpose that I know. The purpose was that the dams will serve as irrigation platforms to boost agriculture in the rural areas of Ghana. And then he said, one district, one factory. It is he who promised to give $1 million, $1 million to every, is it to every district or to every constituency? That, we are told, is already in the budget and it will be made available. It is he also who promised free SHS. And I'll just want to mention some of these things very quickly, and then perhaps we can take one or two of them and talk about them. So it's free SHS. He promised the election of DCEs in 2018. He promised reducing taxes in a number of areas. He promised inclusive government. He promised to bring about the office of an independent prosecutor. And then I find it very interesting. In November of 2016, he in Tamale promised a new Ghana. A new Ghana. And if you didn't hear him then, or you weren't paying attention, or you heard but you've forgotten, I want to read to you what he said about that particular promise of bringing about a new Ghana. And because it's important that we keep all remembering, that we keep all thinking about these things. And he says, I am promising you that within 18 months of a new government of the NPP, under my leadership, the face of our country, Ghana, is going to change. We are going to get out of stagnation and backwardness and move our country onto the path of progress and prosperity. We can do it. We, the Ghanaian people, have the capacity to change the circumstances of our lives. And as I said, this he said at the Jubilee Park in Tamale. And then, let me go on. He says that the new Ghana will be a Ghana with opportunities for all, where everybody is taken care of. We will have a society that is caring and compassionate and expresses solidarity. Nobody is going to be left behind. We are all going to march together, hands linked together, so that great future that beckons, to that great future that beckons us here in Ghana. And he said he would implement his policies and campaign promises to the letter and improve the standard of living of Ghanaians. This new Ghana, he went on to define it some more. That this new Ghana would be one that will not discriminate against any tribe, ethnic, or religious grouping in the country. And he said that politics of tribalism and ethnicity, which he ascribed, or that's what he said that former President John Mahama was doing. Okay, that to him, that policy of the politics of tribalism and ethnicity, he said he wouldn't play a part of that, and that all his adult life had been spent fighting for the progress of Ghanaian people without recourse to ethnicity, color, or tribe. And he said he fought against Achampon's union government. Achampon was an Ashanti, but it didn't make any difference to him. He thought the union government was a bad idea, and he opposed it. He also said he opposed PNDC under Rawlings, who was an Ewe, because he thought military government was not good for Ghana. And he says he is blind to ethnicity, and that Ghana is his interests. And if you let me just go further, because it's important for you to remember. On page 6 of the NPP manifesto, this is what our current president wrote, that as I travel the country over the years, I see the pain and sacrifices made by ordinary Ghanaians every day, by the farmer who struggles to feed his family and send his children to school, but does not know whether, having made that sacrifice to pay the bills, his children will even be able to get a job at the end of their studies, by the mother of a sick child who has to walk miles on the dusty road to the clinic to get medicine, only to be turned away because the clinic will not accept her NHIS card or has no money to pay. By the young men and women who, through no fault of theirs, have had to drop out of school and cannot find a way out of life's difficulties. By the young man who, because of financial circumstances at home, never had the opportunity to go to school and is now sleeping rough on the streets of Accra. By youth who have worked hard at school or the university but still cannot find a job when they leave. They become street hawkers and even open roadside shops, but find the struggle to survive because of the falling cedi, which raises the costs of their goods. Their shops also close because they cannot afford electricity bills. By the husband with a family of 4 who lost his job 2 years ago because his employers had to close down the business due to doomsaw and the high costs of operations. And he says his vision for Ghana is of an optimistic, self-confident, and prosperous nation, a strong and thriving democratic society in which mutual trust and economic opportunities exist for all, irrespective of their background. I want to remind you that he said a strong and thriving democratic society in which mutual trust and economic opportunities exist for all, irrespective of their background. Now, in my view, when someone says irrespective of somebody's background, I think religion, ethnic association, political association, those things in particular, or their gender, whether male or female. So if that's a promise that he made, well, let's take a look and as we go along and understand whether what was promised is what is being delivered. And so I've run through a whole number of them. And when you talk about free SHS, for example, well, we all have to think through, what does free SHS mean? Does that mean that from kindergarten to the end of senior high school, every child can go to school without paying any kind of money at all, or some money, or what? But these were the promises. These were the promises made. Now, I am going to take a break, final break, take a short message, and when we come back, I will mention 2 or 3 of the promises that I made when I was candidate in 2016. This is Ghana Great and Strong. We'll be back.
Group Indum, a Ghanaian-owned multinational company, is a conglomerate of some 50 companies in Ghana, Togo, Liberia, Côte d'Ivoire, the United Kingdom, and the USA. It operates in sectors like banking, investment banking, private equity, pension, hospitality, sports, media, advertising, marketing and production, insurance, entertainment and education. The companies are bounded by the common conviction and commitment of working in the supreme interest of clients and customers in an atmosphere of seamless collaboration among sister companies. At Group Indum, we serve our customers with enthusiasm, innovation and discipline, and for the company, we serve with loyalty. Group Indum, beyond excellence.
Well, welcome back to Ghana Great and Strong. Tonight we're talking about promises made during the 2016 elections, and let me read some of the messages. Boatin from Esubinja, if I hope I pronounced the name correctly, says, "In fact, your program has made me to know how competent and experienced you are." Papa Kwesi Texan from Elmina says, "Jesus will guide you in all your plans, all your dreams, in all you wish to happen in your life." Desmond, well, let me go, okay. Abel Awintuma from Boko says, "Papa, God bless for the great work you're doing. Please, sir, look up to God, because He's the beginning and the end. God bless you and your family, and God bless you as well." Well, let me move on. From Kofordua, Francis from Kofordua says he thinks this is a nice platform which will educate us and will enable us to become watchdogs on government's promises. Well, so what are the 2 or 3 or 4 promises that I made? Very simply and very quickly, it was me who said that every Ghanaian child must go to school so that there will be free, compulsory, continuous education from kindergarten to the end of senior high school, because in this modern world, this is what we need in order to be able to compete. And there's no point in spending all sorts of monies on all sorts of other areas and then leave our children to only have junior high school experience education, and some even drop out because of the little monies that their parents don't have. So that's one of them. A second one that I said was that we would make sure that we change the Constitution so that the people can elect their own district, municipal, metropolitan chief executives to boost development, make it more rapid all over Ghana. Because when the people elect their own leaders, then they will hold them more accountable. I also am the one who made the promise that we would work to change the Constitution to separate the office of District Attorney from the office of Attorney General, to separate the office of District Attorney, I keep saying District Attorney, to separate the office of Attorney General from that of the Minister of Justice, so that the Minister of Justice would be the President's lawyer that the Attorney General will be the people's lawyer, so we can have independence in the decision making as to who to take to court, who to punish, who to take through the legal process in this country. I also said that we will use the state's purchasing power, our tax money, to support our own businessmen and women, those who invest in this country, so that we buy what we produce, what we manufacture, what we grow in this country. And we don't send our hard-earned monies to other lands to import, not just goods, but also even services, when our own people can provide those services right here in Ghana, so that our own people can indeed become prosperous in their own country. Now, let me just say very, very quickly, there's a big difference between, since education is a big issue and a big area of policy for me and for the Progressive People's Party, I want to just stick to that one and tell you that there's a huge difference between what the PPP and myself have said that we would do compared to what John Dramani Mahama and the NDC said that they would do. They talked about progressively making education free. We live by a constitution. The constitution of the land is what a president swears to abide by. The constitution didn't say progressively free. The constitution said free, compulsory education. And it gave 10 years for government to prepare itself. The 10 years has passed. So we're different from what John Dramani Mahama promised. And also, ours is different from what President Nana Akufo-Addo has also put on the table. He keeps saying, and his people keep saying, free SHS. Well, we're not talking free SHS. We're talking free compulsory, because there's a difference between free and compulsory. Something may be free, but people may decide that we don't want it. Something may be free, but it may be of such inconsequential nature that people would disregard it. Compulsory is the word that I wish the President Nana Akufo-Addo would use, because it is that which would make it an imperative for any administration, whether it's his or a future one, to ensure that we build more schools, that we train more teachers, that we provide more facilities, that we find more money to make sure that every Ghanaian child, make it compulsory to go to school. And some people say, so what are you going to do? Well, compulsory means that if a parent decides that the child shouldn't go to school, that parent it has gone against the law, because the law says compulsory education. Compulsory education is in the UK. Compulsory education is in Japan. Compulsory education is in the US. And guess what? It is that compulsory nature that has made those people, those citizens in those countries, to become better off. Better off. They have exercised their minds in the classroom. They have found jobs. They do the right things a lot of the times. Of course, they do wrong things from time to time as well. But their nations are better off, more prosperous than we are. And indeed, what we all need to do is to take a look at those policies, those promises that the political parties and the presidential candidates have put on the table from the 2016 election, and not just throw them away, not just leave them, but let's keep revisiting them. And let's make sure that whenever we meet somebody from the PPP, we ask them, did you really mean this or not? When we meet someone from the CPP, we ask them, did Ivor Greenstreet really mean that he was going to find 2 million Ghanaian youth to plant 1.2 million almond trees to produce $300 billion worth of revenue to the state. And when they see NDC and John Dramani Mahama, that they should ask them what they meant by making sure that government is accountable and governance is spread throughout the land, and so on and so forth. So it is important that we all pay attention. And Lord Sechi from Ejuma Kwenyinasu says, I really like the program, please keep doing it. Nana Yosei from Ashanti Mampong says, Papa, you really educated us today in so many areas. We are grateful and always at your back. Owusu Ahiro says, I like the way you handle issues. God bless you. And God bless you as well. Daniel Echo Bruce says, may I know your political philosophy? I have been following you for a very long time. You really have to run this country. Well, my point is that I am a progressive, people-oriented, practical. I want for us to deal with the issues, the problems that confront us, that face us squarely. And no excuses, no blame game, you know, inclusiveness. Let's get things done and let's make this country, Ghana, great and strong and all of its people prosperous. And this is where we leave our program this evening. God willing, we'll come back your way again another Saturday. And I want to thank my producers, cameramen, technical people, all the people at Ocean One TV in Elmina, ATV, FNN, BTA, and a number of radio stations that have helped us to bring this program to those listening by radio. Easy 107.5 in Accra, Ahoto 92.5 in Kumasi, Popel in Wa, and all of the other radio stations in Komode and so on and so forth. So thank you for listening, for watching. My name is Papa Kwesi Indom, and this has been Ghana Great and Strong. This is Saturday night with me, Papa Kwesi Indom. It is the program we call Ghana Great and Strong. Ghana Great and Strong is apolitical. It is not partisan politics focused. It is a program with the sole purpose to strengthen our country, Ghana, and make all of its people prosperous. Ghana Great and Strong comes your way every Saturday night from 7 to 8 p.m. The program is sponsored by the Ghana Growth Fund Company Limited, GGFC. GGFC is a private equity company that is dedicating its resources to the development of infrastructure in Ghana. GGFC is also financing industries, building factories that create jobs for Ghanaians. So join us.